All right, welcome to my older adult oral video presentation. My name is Sheree Williams, and I chose to interview my coworker, Michelle Thomas. She is awesome and just so spunky and full of life. She is a fabulous 65-year-old woman, and I knew there was a story there, and I was just dying to know more about her. I chose to do Ego versus Despair, Erik Erikson's his psychosocial theory of development. I did the last stage, which is ego versus despair, and ego integrity versus despair is the eighth and final stage um, of this theory, and it begins at approximately age 65, and it ends at death. During this stage, we contemplate our accomplishments and we see ourselves as having led a successful life, and therefore integrity develops. I chose to take a piece of annotated bibliography I had done. There was an article about Erik Erikson's theory, and I just wrote a little blurb about it. And Erik Erikson, he has a theory about achieving wisdom later in life by revisiting crises we endure throughout our lives. Um, and the article discussed the renewal of psychosocial accomplishments, and there were findings from the two studies um, that pointed out how important it was to repurpose your life skills while applying learned wisdom to your current life. This article also touched a little bit on Erickson's overcoming crisis of integrity versus despair through self-management. So yes, it in a nutshell, it's you're applying the wisdom that you've gathered throughout your lifespan, and applying it currently as you still live and try to live your best life. And I totally agree with that theory. Um, let's get started. The developmental stage. Well, Michelle's mother died. I'm sorry, Michelle's mother suffered from an aneurysm when she was a teenager, and the father, was overworked, and he just grew tired of taking care of the mom. So Michelle had to pretty much take on a higher role in the home, um, which in turn, she says, made her stronger, and just more independent. She Another pivotal stage in her life was when she married her boss's boss and fell in love, fell over head over heels, and had children. They moved around a lot because of his job. They had stated two of the places they moved was Missouri and West Virginia. Uh, she was pretty much the one who held the house down. She learned she did the finances, and she was the one who always sold and bought the homes because they moved so much. So yeah, she was definitely his backbone, and she refers to her husband as her rock. Um, some other I guess I would say developmental stages or pivotal moments in her life. Michelle's husband had been involved in a horrific accident where he had broke seven ribs. He had collapsed lung and a lacerated ear. As a result, Michelle had to stop working her part-time job and stay home and take care of her husband. But she said she noticed that it had broken him. It had broken his spirit. He had never been the same after that. So that's something that he went through in his older age. And he did go back to work eventually. However, he did become ill 6 months to a year after his accident, and he was diagnosed with liver cancer, unfortunately. And given 6 months to live, he only survived 2 months, which was very sad for her. But she said it forced her to kick into high gear and know that she had to do what she had to do because she had to take care of her children and make sure they were okay. So once again, she had to sell and buy a house, move. She moved back to Jersey, and where she remained. And yeah, the rest was history from there. She said after she was a widow for about 3 years, she met her boyfriend. His name is Peter. They've been together 16 years now. And she said she learned to not depend on men. So she doesn't like to depend on her current boyfriend because she really depended on her husband. And when he left, things really, were different. And she really felt the weight of everything. Um, Michelle, my wonderful interviewee, she prides herself on never having to rely on public assistance because she worked very hard. She was a hard worker and made it a point to really raise decent children. She did mention that her son was her heartache. that he didn't get the grief counseling that he needed after his father died. So she believes that the trauma is the reason for his troublesome life. And as MSW students, we learn all about that trauma and its effects. Um, so I completely agree with her with that. She has since moved and been in a relationship. I asked her where she saw herself in 10 years. She said, let's do 5 for now. She said that she's building herself a big enough nest egg. That way she can just travel the world. Um, Michelle says she has no regrets and she makes it a point to donate and do as many acts of kindness as she possibly can. This is where a light bulb went off in my head. I said, oh my God, this is successful aging. Now, successful aging is something that I did uh, um, an annotated bibliography on, and it describes the process of aging throughout a person's lifespan, be it a person's mastery and growth or happiness with their life's work. Um, yeah, she's really, really content and happy with her life and her contributions to society. She's just really, really content with that, despite the things she's been through. It only made her a stronger person. Uh, she says she hopes to live to the age of 87, like her grandma. Oh, let me go back up to this other slide. Um, uh, and not develop dementia or get sick like her mother. She said that's her probably one of the only things she fears because she wants to be in her right mind and enjoy life, as we all do. Um, so she hopes to keep her health for as long as she possibly can, and I don't blame her. Alrighty, so we will move on to the next slide, which is psychosocial crisis resolutions. Erik Erikson, he believed that if we believe in ourselves, believe our lives are unproductive, that we'll feel guilty about our past. So it's all about what you do in your life, and what you accomplish. And that you want to do things that you feel proud of. That when you look back over your life, you go, "Oh wow, that's wonderful! I did that. That's awesome. I feel good about that." Because you don't want to feel unfulfilled. None of us do. You want to fulfill all your life goals, and as a result, you become unhappy with life. You can become unhappy, you can develop despair, and that can lead to depression and feelings of hopelessness. And we do not want that. Success in this stage will be achieved once wisdom has developed. There you go, the big W, wisdom. It helps a person to look back over their life and feel complete. There's also a sense of closure, and death is no longer feared and accepted. And that's how I want to be at that age. I want to be like, you know what? I'm living my life. I'm not worried about anything bad happening, and I'm not worried about death. So, Mr. Death, you can go over there because I'm going to live my life and be happy. And that's how we all should think. Let's move to the next psychosocial crisis resolution slide. This one had us discuss a few biopsychosocial factors or events that may have facilitated or inhibited the resolution of the psychosocial crises. And I just picked a few from her interview. I would say one would be her husband becoming ill and passing away. I think it both facilitated and inhibited the resolution of her psychosocial crisis because it's I just believe it to be true. Her husband passed away, brought about uncomfortable change, and it also brought about personal growth. So, um, simultaneously, it brought about both. That was the outcome of his death. And another one was the interview that she discussed living in Missouri amongst millionaires and how they were rich and poor. Well, there were the rich there and there were the poor. You were either or, she said. A lot of people belonged to cliques and they were considered high society. Michelle is a very humble person, so I can only imagine how she was because her husband made great money and they were able to provide a comfortable and safe environment for their children. Um, and she's always lived a decent life where she was able to provide for her children. So that's amazing, and she was humble about it. She even mentioned uh, uh, experiencing a tornado when he lived in I believe she said Missouri, and how horrific it was. Or, no, I think it was West Virginia. And she just said it was just no, not West Virginia. It was Missouri where they had the tornado. It was very terrifying. Definitely something different for a New York City gal to experience because she's from New York City. So she had to do a lot of adjusting in a lot of the places that they moved because she's a city girl. So she said she made it a point to always get back home and visit as much as possible. So it's kind of hard to take a city girl, and put her into the boonies where all the trees and the farmhouses are and things like that. It's a big, big transition. Um, she mentioned that she fell into social work, kind of like it ended up being her niche, because she was, forced to work full time after her husband died, and being a case manager wasn't it for her. Being a house manager was better because, like I said, she's like the mom in her job. The house manager provides food and toiletries and anything the house needs, and she's just there, and she just gives that motherly love and that nurturing spirit that she has. It's just amazing. Um, so yeah, this job for her was easy and it was second nature because she was a stay-at-home mother for a long time. So I'd say she had the right experience. Um, okay, let's go to another slide. Psychosocial crisis resolution. I believe that oppression may have shaped the interviewee's life a little bit because it was in the '60s and married women were, said to stay in the kitchen and bear the babies. But she was a stay-at-home mother, but she also had a part-time job. So I just think that might have hindered her more, and also I think that family. If I want to apply multi-systems here, I think family, because her mother being sick really, really came early on for her as a teenager. And teenagers want to go out, they want to hang with their friends and things like that. They want to experience high school and get, be on the cheer squad. And I'm sure taking care of her mother, which she loved her mother dearly, um, uh, but I'm sure it hindered her. Because she had to do what she had to do to provide for her mom. And then being a married woman and having children and being a stay-at-home mom, sure, she had to sacrifice a lot of her dreams and aspirations just to make sure her children had 3 hot meals a day, a tidy home to come home to, the house is nice and clean, or to just to be able to coordinate school dance pickups and drop-offs or play dates and things like that. However, she does mention that she has no regrets and she's content with her life in the way it was, in the way it has gone. She's just such a spunky lady. I hope everyone checks out my interview on YouTube with her. She's just really interesting. Uh, she talks about losing friends in Vietnam and things like that. Just she's had quite a life. Okay, we're gonna move on to the activity theory now. I am going to talk about this is the theory I chose was this one, the activity theory. It basically occurs when individuals engage in activities every day and maintain a level of productivity. In turn, it helps older people age successfully and gracefully. It's been proven that people that remain active and busy are healthier, more present, and much happier. So basically, all in all, in a nutshell, the busier you are, the more flawless you'll look and feel. And we all want to feel and look flawless. Um, Interviewing Michelle, she works full time, so she's always busy. She's in a serious committed relationship, so that takes time and it'll keep you busy. And she's always doing fun activities with her grandchildren. So in turn, she's in great health and currently just she's waiting a good time to retire. She has plans to travel, and I do not blame her. I'm super jealous. So happy for her. Okay, some limitations, some theory limitations. I went back to Eagle versus Despair. I feel like the limitation for me, for Eagle versus Despair, is just the feelings of bitterness and despair. Um, and I think in turn it'll encourage more fear of death. If you ask me, I feel like um, not everyone's going to be successful with Eagle with this theory because everybody has comes from different walks of life and experience different experiences, and I believe that you know uh, we tend to make decisions and do things that we're not necessarily proud of, and we may end up regretting. So I feel like that has its limits. Like I think Eagle versus Despair, like you could be successful but everybody doesn't have the liberty of saying, hey, my life was awesome, and you know what, I look forward to the next 45 years. So it's definitely it has its limits. I think it has its limitations there, dependent upon the person and what they've done in their life. I don't think you can really apply this to everyone because there are people that do retire and become miserable because you go from being executive CEO to working as a helper at a library part-time, and that can be a really big that'd be downer for a person that's used to being a big old boss. So I think that's one of the limits. I just think that some will be unsuccessful, some will be successful, and the unsuccessful side is really sad because no one wants to be depressed, and I definitely think it's that's a sad thing. I know I try to be as happy and healthy and take care of myself so I can run away from depression. So that is my older adult oral PowerPoint presentation, and I hope you all enjoyed and get lots of knowledge from it. At the bottom, the very last slide 11, you'll see my references. So thank you for listening, and please check out the interview. Michelle's quite a character. Thank you so much.